experienced and developed critical skills that set me apart in the job market.
From education to employment, our internship programs bridge the gap between academic knowledge and real-world application. We provide stipends and essential tools, preparing interns for successful careers. Learning never stops at Fasset. Our lifelong learning initiatives ensure that professionals remain competitive in an ever-evolving sector. Special projects like the Executive Women Development Program empowers women for executive roles, reflecting our commitment to continuous growth and diversity in leadership.
Hi, my name is Katekani Kati Hlaise, and I was part of Cohort 1 of the IWFSA Fasset Women's Legacy Program. I did the program at a time where I wanted to
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fasset Roadshow 2025, moving forward with strategic intent. A special warm welcome to the women of our beautiful country. Let me take this opportunity to wish you a powerful Women's Month. To our stakeholders, the levy payers, non-levy payers, professional bodies, training providers, higher learning institutions, and our partners, welcome and thank you for joining us today. I am Kagiso Molefe, your Program Director. I'm joined by a high-level delegation from Fasset executives who are today's panel members, namely the Interim Accounting Authority and Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Ayanda Mafuleka. Towards her left, Mr. Zakaria Ali, the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Makabongwe Sisiba, the Chief Information Officer, and not forgetting Ms. Nokulunga Mtombeni, the Corporate Services Executive. They are supported by the program managers in attendance today, namely Mr. Kulagane Koza, Mr. Godfrey Masonganyi, and Ms. Mamaroti Matibe. They will be assisting with the questions posted by yourselves. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me outline the purpose of the roadshow. It is to provide feedback, illustrate Fasset's achievements and highlights of the last financial year to our stakeholders, you, and to provide a strategic overview for the 2025-2026 financial year. With Fasset's strategic mission being to inject relevant finance and accounting services skills in the South African economy, to position Fasset as a thought leader in skills development and training, to demonstrate continued excellence in finance and accounting services, and not forgetting to drive transformation and promote inclusivity in the finance and accounting services workforce. At Fasset, to achieve this mission, there are fundamental values we adhere to. These are professionalism, accountability, ethics, making a difference, valuing people, and of course, innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not just words. This is who we are. But before we get into the business of the day, let us go over some few house rules. Kindly mute your mic, switch off your camera, and due to time constraints, you are encouraged to send your questions to the chat box at any time during the program. The program managers will respond during the session. You're also most welcome to raise your questions later on during the Q&A session, which will be opened later during the program. Just a friendly reminder once again, ladies and gentlemen, our stakeholders, kindly share the streaming services links with your colleagues and friends and the broader community. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the Interim Accounting Authority and CEO of Fasset, Ms. Ayanda Mafuleka, who will provide a strategic presentation focusing around the development of skills pipeline that feeds the finance and accounting services sector into the broader economy, with a focus on closing the scarce and critical skills gap within the sector. Once again, don't forget to send those questions in the comments. You are most welcome. CEO, over to you.
Thank you so much, Program Director, Mr. Kagiso Molefe. Sanbonani, good morning, especially to the executive team that is here in our midst, Fasset management, our valued stakeholders online, our partners, and the rest of our colleagues be greeted. Let me also echo the sentiment and the wishes by our program director, let me wish you a powerful and blessed Women's Month. And may you celebrate it as women across the country. So before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend our heartfelt congratulations to the newly appointed Minister of Higher Education and Training, Mr. Buti Manamela, and the newly appointed Deputy Minister, Mrs. Nomusa Dube-Ncube. Their leadership really come at a critical moment for South African skills agenda, and at FASSET we stand ready to work hand in hand with them as we move forward with strategic intent, which then promises to deliver on a promise of a transformed, inclusive, and globally competitive post-school education and training system. Let me also extend our warmest greetings to the DG of the Higher Education and Training, Dr. Sishi, and the rest of the SETA performance unit within the department. I just want to start with a story that really warmed my heart, a story that defines our purpose as FASSET. In 2021, a young woman from rural Limpopo, the daughter of a street vendor, joined one of our bursary programs. She had talent, but no financial resources. And a dream of becoming a chartered accountant seemed impossibly far. But with FASSET's support, she not only completed her studies, but also secured her SETA articles. So today, she works at one of the top audit firms in Gauteng, and perhaps even more inspiring, she is mentoring 3 other young women from her village to follow in her footsteps. So her journey is proof that when we move forward with strategic intent, delivering the right program to the right person at the right time, we do more than educate, but we shape the economic trajectory of families, communities, and the nation at large. Now, as your CEO and an interim accounting authority, I recognize that we are operating in a world where skills cycle is really shrinking. What is relevant today may be obsolete tomorrow. We have artificial intelligence, automation, and globalization are now shifting the demand curve for talent. So if we are to remain effective, that means every program, every partnership, and every investment must be deliberate, evidence-based, and future-orientated. So that is why and how also we ensure that we remain a SETA of excellence, which is relevant, responsive, and attuned to the ever-revolving skills landscape. So I just want to take you down the memory lane and put emphasis on the 7 board priorities that have been, I call them the 7 cardinal priorities that the board came up with from 2020 to 2025 that will also usher us into the new era from 2025 to 2030. The first priority is transformation of the FASSET sector. So this will also talk to being inclusive and developing and taking skills development mandate to the historically disadvantaged individuals, and also try to transform certain subsectors in our sector, like asset management. So we will do this through our critical and waterproof stakeholder engagement strategy. The second priority is looking at strengthening stakeholder engagement and partnership. That is why we are here today talking to our stakeholders, getting insight, questions, and feedback. That is part of strengthening, the stakeholder engagement and partnerships. I mean, throughout the past 5 years, we have been intentional in getting into strategic partnerships with all our stakeholders. And I hope that those that have not come to our net will take a call to action and join the FASSET sector. Thirdly, looking at the capacity and capability building through an efficient FASSET business model. And how we have done this, we have looked at developing a dashboard to monitor the performance of FASSET on an ongoing basis, and just make sure that we inculcate the culture of performance. And that is why to date we are seated at 98% of the performance. And around this, the CIO will also further unpack some of the innovative ways or innovative capabilities that we have built and we continue to build within the FASSET business model. The fourth one talks around extending representation and interventions to urban and rural communities across the country. We are taking FASSET to the people, and we have been intentional and very deliberate in reaching rural areas to make sure that we increase access to FASSET offerings and services to the people in the rural areas. And we have been partnering also just to capture that target audience as well, or that target market, through partnering with historically disadvantaged institutions in the rural areas to be able to identify learners for inclusion in our programs. And we have partnered with various stakeholders such as DBSA, the Development Bank of South Africa, in their mandate on the DDM, which is the District Development Model, which is a presidential model to assist us, for rural interventions, or to push through on our rural interventions. The fifth one that talks to fit for purpose and responsive research and innovation studies. On this one, it is becoming critical because whatever interventions that we roll out must be linked to research findings and must be implemented according to what the sector has told us, or what we have picked up through research from the sector. And you will, in this actually current financial year, we are going to be intentional in making sure that we establish the research chairs, where we will also, through a CHIP, which is the a SETA integrated high impact programs that we had launched in the previous financial year, where we will be collaborating with other SETAs for a high impactful program. So we'll be partnering with some of the SETAs to fully utilize their research chairs, especially those SETAs that are within the FBI, which is finance, banking, and insurance. The sixth one, which is around monitoring and evaluation. Actually, this in essence speaks to post-investment impact analysis. We are a SETA that has been intentional in rolling out programs, but through our monitoring and evaluation, we must be in a position to track and trace and assess impact of these programs that we have been rolling, because we don't want to be a SETA that's just train into a big hole. So really our emphasis will be tracking our pipeline, because we have programs that start at high school level up to lifelong learning. So we want to be able to track and trace learner A that started on our program at grade 10 through our maths, accounting program that we are accounting, maths, and English, up to entering a FASSET labor market, or the FASSET sector, and then track that learner A up to the programs around lifelong learning. So that is what really we are going to be focusing on as part of the board, one of the board priorities. The last one, the seventh one, is supporting the development and sustainability of the SMME market with critical FASSET skills. We have, assess the demographics and the makeup of our sector. And we have researched that the majority of the employers in our sector are SMMEs. They make up the majority. So it stands to reason that this should also be a focused, focal point when we talk of transforming the sector and making an impact and taking the sector forward. So we will be entering into strategic partnerships that will provide those much necessary skills for these SMMEs so that they are able to thrive and grow the sector. The CFO will come in as well and just take you through the revenue growth, the levy growth of the sector. And we have, we are proud to say this is a very resilient sector. So I just want to then quickly then take you through what are going to be the deliberate steps that you want to take to move forward with strategic intent. We are not only just a national player as the SETA, but we also want, actually we are positioning FASSET as a global and strategic player. We are part of the G20 working group where global policy shaping in skills and education is taking place. We have signed an MOU with Women 20 or W20, which is one of the G20 working groups which ensures gender inclusivity and women's economic empowerment. And as FASSET, we are very intentional in transforming the sector and making women economic emancipation a priority also in skills development. So we are also active in T20, which is a thinking tank working group of the G20, which are contributing to research-driven policy recommendations on skills for the future. I'll be taking you through just our strategic update and where we are. But I do want to emphasize that, it is our commitment and our intention that we want to keep FASSET aligned with global trends, where we ensure that our program and skills interventions remain competitive and strengthens our ability to anticipate and respond to ever shifts in the skills economy. So this will be some of the programs that we'll be looking at. So the slides, ladies and gentlemen, will be shared, with you. So in the interest of time, because I would also like to leave more time where we can engage with you through a Q&A, comments, and so forth. So really, the first few slides talk to where the 2024, 2029 strategic priorities and the outcomes in terms of the medium-term development plan that we know that has been approved. Actually, it focuses on some of these priorities and outcomes, which are then supported by the PSET sector, where FASSET is party to that sector. So looking into inclusive growth and job creation, where through skills development, initiative and interventions, we will endeavor to be part of increasing employment opportunities. Obviously, we will do this through multifaceted partnership and stakeholders within the PSET sector. There's the second priority that which FASSET is party to and is aligned to is the reduction of poverty and tackle the high cost of living. This will be massified through skills for the economy. Then the third one is building a capable, ethical and developmental state. And we know that this is also what the National Development Plan 2030 aspire to. So these are the outcome for the National Skills Development Plan. This is also taking its cue from the National Development Plan of 2030. So as we roll out our intervention, our skills intervention, we are guided by this outcome. Actually, we weave in these outcomes. Okay, I just want to quickly then, okay. So these are our strategic priorities around four programs. But of importance, when I say of importance, not that the others, they are not important, but which is core and central and, central to the work of FASSET is Program 2 and Program 3. Program 2 is on skills planning. Program 3 is learning programs and projects, which, the stakeholders should then have keen interest on. So these are just the target under each program that in the 5-year horizon plan. So this is just as the baseline. However, we are a SETA that is very obsessed and fixated on impact, because it is no longer about numbers. It is more about the impact. So we aspire a budget, allowing as well to surpass and exceed these, targets. So what will also inform us as we transform the sector, which are transformation imperatives in our programs, is underpinned by these 4 areas where we will be targeting about 85% of our beneficiaries should be of, African race. 54% should be female. And obviously this, cut across that it should be young people as well. I just want to emphasize that as the SETA, we don't have an age limit. Our beneficiaries range from 15 years when we fund them at the high school level, up to retirement or up to 65 years or more through the lifelong learning. Because we believe that ukufunda akukhulelwa, you learn until in the grave, you go to the grave. One also of importance that really is becoming our is becoming our strong or sharp focus is around inclusivity, where we want to fund and roll out programs for persons with disabilities. The national target is around 2 or 4%, and I think there are talks that it is going to be increased. But at FASSET, we endeavor to exceed even the national target. So we will be intentional in making sure that we have a program that looks into capturing people with disability. And we have started, by the way, we have a strategic partnership with Blind SA. So, but I'll talk more about that. So probably I will also take question if stakeholders would like to learn more about that. So this is just a dashboard of our programs. And ladies and gentlemen, this information, it is available on our website, www.fasset.org.za. I'm just saying, but I trust that you know our website and where to find us. If you can't find it on our website, we will also have an app. So the CIO will further unpack the app. So the CIO will just have to ensure that such information is also there on the app. You will go through our, we will, on our website, there is our strategic plans and annual performance plan. So in a nutshell, without going through in details on each of those, but we are still, we are still focusing on unemployed learners and employed learners. When I say learner is has no age, restriction. So from cradle to grave. So we will still be funding rolling out the lifelong learning or long professional development programs where you can have your CPDs, and we've partnered with various professional bodies, service providers, training providers to roll out our program. So please be on the lookout on our various communication platforms. We still have a focused program for trade union members. We will be funding and massifying also, the funding for learners that are approved for LEG. Someone yesterday asked, what does LEG stand for? LEG stand for Learner Employment Grant. So basically this talks to the internships, as well. So we fund learners that are doing articles, various professional body articles and articles. So we are also funding, we will continue actually funding for the middle, income, or the missing middle, as we call it. And I think we have even expanded the salary range for this category. Previously, it was seated at 600,000 per annum. If the household income is 600,000, but now we have moved it up to a 1 million. Sorry, I almost said 100 million. 1 million. So that is for the bursary programs at the universities, TVET colleges as well. We continue to fund internship programs. And this, we have really increased numbers as well. So internship programs talks to the learners that have just passed the matric, those that have passed skills program in TVET colleges, even in universities where we call them HETs, those graduate. We continue to fund academic support programs, or we call them academic skills program at universities, where it's more of extra or additional academic support. We are working with professional bodies. We are funding unemployed learners who enter into a professional body programs, and I think here it is more than 300 an annual, a year rather. Yeah, so and we not only fund for internships and the likes, we also provide tools of trade. So you might have seen across our communication channels that we have been handing over laptops, because we are in the fourth industrial revolution. We are in the digital age where every learner must have tools of trade to access learning even online. Without any wasting much time, I'll take questions, but I just want to highlight and flag some of the program that you might. Yes, also on cooperatives and enterprises. This also talks to one of the national priorities around development of SMMEs and also rural cooperatives, because what will also grow the economy of this country is, the SMME sector, where once they are empowered and there's growth, they will be able to create jobs. Okay. They also just want to flag one also of the critical and flagship programs, which is payment for historical debt. As FASSET, we work with the university and we are so attuned and we are aware of the plight that the learners, face with owing universities where their debt, where there is historical debt and they're not able to graduate or they're not able to receive their qualification or their certificate. So as FASSET, we have come up with this program to settle those historical debt, so that learners and graduates, they are able to obtain their certificate and qualification so that they can go and secure work as well. So then this is very important. Whilst we are still on the path of transformation, we continue to fund the program for female executive development, and that is still one of our flagship programs. So yeah, we will still continue with that, because we are very intentional when it comes to gender equality and women empowerment, especially that the research tells us, and the numbers don't lie, tells us that the sector, the majority of the employees in our sector are women. But when you do a deep dive, you find that these women, they are at the entry level. So as FASSET, we had come up with this program to elevate them and empower them and develop them into leadership roles where they can enter the C-suite and even boardrooms as well, where they will be board members. And we have funded a specifically program that looked at the board development program for women. Lastly but not least, we are at the high school as well. We have a program around, as I've said earlier, maths, accounting, and English that we continue to fund, where it is our endeavor to increase the entrance into the FASSET sector through the tertiary qualification. So we have been very intentional that we want to increase, and working together with the Department of Basic Education to increase the matric pass rate, especially in math. And with this program, we have seen an impact that it made. I mean, we have seen learners that started with 30% pass rate in maths, now that are seated at 70%. I can mention a few. So for us, that really is humbling. That is an impact that we are seeing real time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I shall pause there on the program, but I just want to introduce one new program that is that will be funding for the first time. When I say first time, not first time in the history of FASSET, but we've decided to bring it back. That is the work integrated learning for the university students and also universities of technology. Without revealing my age, I think this used to be called, it's normally called now the word is escaping me, your in-service training mainly, basically, okay? So these are just for you to glance on or to glean on, the FASSET top, the list of, the FASSET sectoral skills, or, that the sector have dictated to us to say this is what we need in the sector. That is what we are still short of. So topping the chart, it's still external auditors, followed by debt collectors and software developers and you name it. But what is of importance, what we have seen, a huge shift from the previous 3 years, where most of the top 10 scarce skills were 60%. Now they've gravitated towards the digital skills. So, but that, that is not a surprise, because indeed we are moving towards, actually we are in a digital age. And one of the emerging critical economies is the digital economy. So this is just for your information purposes. We still have internal auditors, accountant. Obviously, it is not just your traditional, accounting skills, but they also have that digital flavor, you know, and it probably as the CIO will also talk into it, because automation, AI tools is taking, you know, the sector by storm, and we must also be agile and we must also be responsive. Okay, so basically, just for your own information, yes, we are hard at work implementing the strategy for 2025-26 based on our annual performance plan. This is how the process will really, you know, unfold. Okay, my gadget here is a bit slow, but basically be on the lookout for the opening of discretionary grant windows, and I think they are out already. We started opening these windows from July and will be closing on the 31st of August. But there should there be any reason, we can even extend. But basically, so please, you know, send in your interest and your application. But also, we will be continue with strategic partnerships as well as part of, you know, implementation of our APP. Our focus, as I've said, will be accelerating programs in rural areas and learners with disabilities. So, ladies and gentlemen, the discretionary grant, I must stress this, it's open to both non-levy paying employers as well as levy paying employers, as long as you are within the FASSET sector. Okay, so this is just internally, this is just to, you know, to give you that assurance and, you know, that peace of mind that this process, you know, goes through an open, fair, and transparent process as we be allocating the discretionary grant. It is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. It feels like it's been the whole week, but I've been enjoying these engagements with you. As I really draw to a close, let me thank each and every one of you for your participation and your support in the submission of WSP and ATRs that has passed. The deadline was on the 31st of May 2025. The team is hard at work evaluating your submissions to a point where we want to wrap up this process by end of August, and approval letters, they've been issued and they continue to be issued on all compliant organizations. The CFO is here next to me, who will ensure that we pay on time the mandatory grant. And I like to believe that we have done so for the first quarter, but he will confirm that. No, ladies and gentlemen, my valued stakeholders, that, you know, if it's not paid on time, you know who to talk to. So really, we have not had significant challenges in the in this current financial year. However, there are still those teething and common challenges that have been identified, and really which we appeal to you, especially the employers and the SDF, to ensure that your contact details are accurate and they are always updated on the FASSET system. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to just make this commitment, and I believe that the executive seated here will align with this co-commitment that, you know, we want to remain a SETA of excellence. That is always relevant, responsive, and globally engaged. We want to continue to be a catalyst for innovation in skills development, both locally and abroad. And together, we believe, with you stakeholders, we will build a South Africa that is not only ready for the future, but the one that shapes it. I plead, and this is a call to action as well, from the SMMEs to participate. We are trying to simplify processes and intensify outreach to ensure that the SMMEs benefit and contribute into this sector, because we have picked up one of the challenges, that there's a low participation among SMMEs. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with the words of Peter Drucker, who said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." I thank you.
Dumelang, my name is Ororisang Mekwa and I am from Rustenburg in the Northwest Province, aka Bokone Bophirima. I came across a digital skills program on LinkedIn and I applied for the program. I found it exciting and intriguing. I couldn't wait to find out what it entailed. I was curious. I came with an open mindset and I wanted to sharpen my skills or acquire skills and the knowledge in the IT industry. So the digital skills program that I enrolled in currently entails that we gamify financial literacy through different coding languages like JavaScript, and we've also covered web development and used HTML, CSS, and Java. To anyone who would want to join into a similar project as this, I just want to say that come with an open mindset, come with a receptive heart, even though you don't have an IT background or digital skills. Just come with an open mindset, be ready to learn. To AB4IR and FASSET, I would like to thank you for the support, for this great initiative, for carving out the best in us, the potential that we never thought we had. Looking forward to the next one.
I'm Offense Di Colomela, and the digital skills program entails learning about the fundamentals and basics of coding, various coding languages such as CSS, JavaScript, and HTML. What I intend to do after this program is furthering my skills in programming and look for any opportunities within the field, because thanks to this programming, I've learned that there's a huge gap in the market in this country for such skills. To the funders, I would like to kindly ask for you to continue this program so that you may further enrich the people of this country with the skills of technology.
The digital skills program more internet. I saw it actually more the app, Ebiduang Moya app. It was advertised more, and then I applied. And then I saw it again more, I think it's Facebook. Not sure 100%, but I think it's Facebook. And then I apply from there, and then asked my uncle to come and drop the CV. That's how I got contacted. Thank you to Fasset and AB4IR for the opportunity. I hope next time it won't be 6 months, it will be more than 6 months. Maybe at least 12 months or more. Thank you.
A warming and moving story that you have shared with us, CEO. Thank you very much for the insights as well and the strategic direction that you have paved for us that we strive to achieve. And we do make the future count as Fasset. I'm encouraged to hear the collaborative efforts that you've mentioned, and these initiatives are greatly appreciated for the benefit of our stakeholders. Teamwork makes the dream work. And stakeholders, please do visit our website, fasset.org.za, to access the programs outlined by the CEO. This is your opportunity to access these programs. And remember, ethical conduct, doing what is right, even when no one is looking, that we should adhere to. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delays, I'd like to introduce and welcome the CFO of Fasset, Mr. Zakaria Ali, who will provide the finance highlights and reflections on the continuous improvements achieved in the last year and the latest Auditor General SA outcomes. And please do remember to post your questions. We have been receiving your questions and comments. Please do continue to drop them in the chat box in the different platforms that you are watching us from. CFO, over to you.
Thank you, Program Director, and good morning once again to my colleagues in the room, and good morning to all our valuable stakeholders online. Thank you for joining us today. My purpose of this session is to reflect on our financial journey, look at our audit outcomes, and share how we are positioning ourselves for the years ahead. Over the past few years, our organization has worked hard to strengthen financial discipline, enhance governance, and align our resources with our mission. Today, I'll highlight where we've come from, where we are, and where we are going. So let's start by looking at our actual performance. So just going to the next slide. Okay. So if we look at the past 5 financial years, our revenues have grown steadily, and we've managed our expenditures within the approved limits. This discipline has allowed us to achieve operational stability while also investing in our priority programs, as mentioned by our CEO. These improvements didn't happen by accident. They came from disciplined budgeting, regular monitoring, and strong teamwork. Looking at the revenue line itself, we'll see from the 2020-21 financial year when COVID hit, up until the past financial year 2025, our revenue has increased quite steadily, and we have a strong, stable revenue stream, which we've closed on 904 million in the 2024-25 financial year. I think credit goes to our employers within the sector. Our revenue is based on the employability within the sector, as we receive revenue from the skills development levies. If you can see from the 2020-21 financial year, a lot of companies were in financial difficulties, but within our sector, we've had strong employability, which resulted in our good and strong steady revenue stream. Now looking at our expenditure line, our expenditure line is split between 2 areas. The first is the administrative expenditure. Our administrative expenditure is limited to 10% as dictated by the Skills Development Act, and over the past 5 financial years we've been within that limit, and we've been able to maintain the 10% for administration expenditures. Moving to our employer grant and project expenditure, you'll see we've spent 941 million in the past financial year, and that was very similar to the 2023-24 financial year of also 941. So I think the question here is, why are we spending more than we receive, specifically in the past 2 financial years? We've reported a deficit for the past 2 financial years, 172 million for 2023-24, and a deficit of 128 million in the 2024-25 financial year. That is no accident. This was a deliberate move by FASSET to start spending on the previously accumulated surpluses. We don't want to be an entity that holds on to surpluses and keeps it in the bank. We want to get the money out and into our programs so that we can see a higher impact in our programs and have a significant, make a significant difference out there. I think from here we can move to our audit outcomes, and as you can see, the CEO did mention over the past 4 financial years we've managed to obtain a clean audit. This clean audit comes with a lot of sacrifice, dedication and discipline within all areas of FASSET, not only the finance division, but it spreads across into our projects, into our marketing team, into our IT team, corporate services, etc. In our, just want to move to the next slide. Okay, so you'll see as part of the audit, it does not look at the financial information only. It looks at the performance information as well as various areas of compliance within the ambit of FASSET. You'll see at 2020-21 we had 1 or 2 areas that were of concern, as well as 21-22, and we've managed to maintain and clean up those areas and maintain that clean slate over the past 3 financial years. I think that is a good story to tell in terms of our dedication and commitment to transparency and clean administration. Looking ahead into our next few financial years, we want to maintain the level of spending, and we want to go into programs and invest in programs that are of high impact to the sector and also to the country at large. I think from my side, that's more or less the story that I'd like to tell. And in closing, I would like to say that we would like to reiterate our commitment to transparency, compliance, and effective use of our resources. And our financial stability is the foundation for delivering on our mission. Together we can build on this and we can achieve success in the future years. I thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Tato Maketa and I was once a FASSET bursary beneficiary. I was studying at the Central University of Technology. I was studying information technology, specializing in software development. FASSET was a very good bursary for me because they paid for my accommodation, they paid for my tuition, and they paid for my meal allowance. And not only that, they also took us to programs here and there for work readiness, which really helped me a lot because today I managed to get my qualification and I am working as a lecturer at Maloti College, teaching programming and introduction to technical programming.
Thank you, CFO, for the insights and sharing the strong performance depicted by FASSET and the prudent utilization of the scarce resources allocated to yourselves, money. Operating within financial constraints while still using the funds effectively and efficiently, I would like to say congratulations to you and the officials at FASSET. No compromise on compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us welcome the CIO of FASSET, Mr. Makabongwe Sisiba, who will provide the FASSET ICT Relations Roadmap, highlighting the continuous improvements achieved in the last year and the latest innovative programs currently underway. Dear stakeholders, you are also reminded to continue posting your questions, your comments onto the chat box or the various platforms. The comms team are greatly appreciative of the fact that you are making the effort to interact with us, and the program managers will gladly respond. CIO, over to you.
Thank you, Program Director, and good morning to the colleagues and also stakeholders online. I think the best way to start this engagement is just to indicate what we know and what's happening in our industry, particularly in the sector, finance and accounting services sector, on how AI and machine learning is really transforming the sector, and how we're responding to that, and what are we looking for from a roadmap point of view as FASSET. You would notice that a lot has been happening, particularly in the accountancy space, where AI has been really taking over in automating the repetitive tasks. When you talk about repetitive tasks, we talk about tedious tasks like data entry, invoice processing, and banking records that today are being done by humans, but AI has been, a certain model has been trained to take over those tasks so that accountants are given time to do financial analysis and also a proper planning using the data that already AI has looked at that. We're also looking at the trends where there's more enhanced data accuracy and also fraud detection. I think machine learning, particularly in this particular space, has been trained to detect anomalies in financial statement, helping businesses to mitigate financial risk and also reduce fraud. The essence of this slide and also the indication of where accounting or AI and ML is going is that within the context of the sector itself, we are seeing AI and machine learning playing very critical role in requiring new skills that were not really needed in the sector, but now they become more important in infusing what accountants and also finance specialists are doing in the sector. And one other important one is the balance between the human expertise and AI. I mean, the common phrase is that AI is replacing humans, but the reality of the matter is that it really complements what humans are doing. If AI is adopted correctly, it just then complements what we are doing. But of course, AI is not as clever as we can think, because I mean, even the algorithms that we deploy, it's humans who determine and train the models in terms of what they do. So there's a collaboration between the two. However, if we're not upskilling our accountants and also our finance specialists on AI, definitely AI will take over, because such models then will come to us not ready to respond, and also the skilled workforce will be obsolete in terms of what's required by the sector. I think it's important to start the conversation around that. Now, if the sector is looking at that, what is it specifically that we require then as FASSET, as informed by our SSP 25 to 2030? Spoke about AI. I will even include machine learning there, because I mean, those two, they work interdependently. As FASSET, or as the sector, the information that we are deriving from the SSP, artificial intelligence, as indicated, is one of the skills that are urgently required. We talk about tedious tasks that needs to be transformed into AI-driven processes that is highly required in our sector. And I said earlier on that if AI then can take over those tasks, then it means accountants and financial specialists, they are able to do financial analysis. Then they become data analysts instead of them capturing and also using those tasks. And that's another skill that is required, the data analysis skill, because technology that is being deployed there, I mean, accountants were not trained on that in the past, but now it becomes the core skill that is required for them to be able to analyze the data that comes from all those emerging technologies. ICT cybersecurity as well, one of the most important one. I mean, we're talking about financial data here that needs to be secured. And also we need to deploy some measures or processes and also controls that secures the data that we require. It used to be an ICT back office skill, but now it's coming in the forefront that also accountants and finance specialists need to have that skills to understand. In other words, it says you build with security in mind when we use AI and also machine learning. Cloud architect, I mean, most corporates now, we are saving our data in the cloud. We're no longer using traditional methods for the ease of accessing information at the click of a button. Now, the thinking is that cloud architect, at a fundamental or conceptual level, accountants and finance specialists need to have such a skill, and it's required in the sector. Another important one is a fintech specialist. I mean, we talk about technology here, so it's a finance and technology coming together. That merging, the fintech specialists are being trained to be able to translate the technology and finance concepts and processes so that they're easily understandable to a basic consumer. So those are the skills in the main that are emerging from the sector, and that's what we are battling with from now into the next 5 years, in ensuring that we are producing the skills that the economy would require so that we remain relevant. Part of what we did for us to respond to that, we needed to change our traditional vision as an organization. Part of what we're saying our vision now is to harness the power of digital technologies. We want to innovate, we want to scale and lead in the achievement of the world-class finance and accountancy skills. One of the things that we need to test organizationally is to say, are we responding to achieve a world-class finance and accountancy skills? And the answer is, the slide before, if we then get the skills that are required by the economy, on the 5 or 6 skills that we highlighted that the SSP says, then we are slowly getting into achieving that particular vision, so that we realize it through ensuring that we collect and process money and manage and store and secure data that has integrity to improve our decision making within the organization and also in the sector at large. Also, we want to then provide integrated end-to-end learner management systems that give us data that we can manipulate and use and analyze, that give us insights that we require for proper planning and also decision making. And then lastly, to ensure that whatever data that we have, the bulk of information that we've been collecting over the years, we are protecting it, and also the infrastructure that we have is also secured around security threats that are there. What are we targeting this year, 25-26? One, we want to implement that integrated learner management system, but we are following a modular / an agile approach in doing so. We want to develop models that are easily marketable, if I can put it that way. We quickly deploy into production. In other words, we want to fail fast and fail forward in whatever that we do, in providing solutions that then our stakeholders, which is yourselves, can be able to interact with us. One of the pain area that we are aware of is the capturing of a WS and ATR processes. There's been complaints, we are aware of them, because of our obsolete technology that is not responding to the automated requirements of our stakeholders. And we are fast-tracking that pilot of WSP ATR. We're saying a pilot because we want to deploy it and test it with yourselves as stakeholders, and then so that we know that we are providing what is required by stakeholders, and also we are able then to get the insights that we require from that. And secondly, we are also piloting the levies and grants automated system. Again, it's a pilot, that one as well, because there's a long-term plan in terms of what we intend to do. But of course, we are starting modularly so that we build, we strengthen, and then we move to the next one. The biggest project that we have to work with is migrating all the data that we have collected over the years into the integrated learner management system, and that's a process on its own. That the success of whatever that we're trying to do on these two modules depend on the data that then will give us the information that we require. That we do also with the stakeholder consultation, so that we move with our stakeholders in deploying whatever applications that are touching our stakeholders. And then secondly, because we speak about accounting, finance and accounting sector, that was not really IT driven. We also internally have to upskill and reskill our own personnel so that we are able to have skills around data analytics. While we're collecting data, we're migrating data, we're getting automated applications using the latest technology. I mean, the co-pilots that we are already licensed for. We need to have skills in analyzing the data that we are sitting with, and also our business intelligence capabilities. Then that's one of the areas that we are focusing on in 25-26, so that we know that we are able to interact with whatever that we're deploying for our stakeholders, and also internally we are able to work with those. So we'll be training end users on these automated applications, and also reporting tools that give us, trends, and also they detect some of the, trends and patterns that we need to be aware of as we continue to deploy these data analytics tools. And then lastly, we'll be then deploying a virtual agent, chatbot. It's an AI infused, of course, which will build as we continue with it. Because what we require to do, we want to respond as early as possible to the queries, or also the updates in terms of what's happening with the applications and everything that happens there. So we are training that agent so that it's able to respond to the queries that are coming from our stakeholders. And we will build in that particular agent as we continue developing that AI model. But that's one thing that we are doing in this particular financial year. We also want to stabilize our own cloud environment. Remember, we spoke about cloud architect in the previous slides, but internally we have to practice what we preach by implementing a resilient and cybersecurity strategy internally, so that the data that we have that belongs to yourselves as our stakeholders, we can attest and provide assurance that it's secured, and we can put controls in place that are proper in protecting that data. We're also upskilling our own internal staff around cybersecurity skills to ensure that the implementation of a security operations center is manned by our own internal staff. And by that, we are providing a 24/7 threat detection and analysis and response capabilities, of course, with partnerships with one of the state entities that already have done that particular SOC, to ensure that we've got reportings, we've got detections, we are able to respond when incidents are happening. And then lastly, we are strengthening our ICT governance and policy frameworks. Everything we do, everything that we've been speaking about and what we intend to do, there are frameworks, there are policies, there are regulations that determine how we manipulate and work. We use the data, the data privacy issues, retention and disposals that we need to comply with in alignment with the global best practice. So that's one area that we continue to strengthen, particularly now we are in the new term, a new 5 years. Then we have to ensure that those frameworks are resilient and they are responding to what's required by law. And then the long-term plans. We spoke about a modular approach, we spoke about an agile approach. This is the end game, if I can put it that way. By 2028-29, third quarter, we intend to have implemented all those modules. We say modular approach because we need to build, test, deploy, and strengthen, and then move to other modules. So at the end of 2028-29 or third quarter, as we plan, all those apps, we call them power apps, should be then functional, and then we integration intact, and then we are able to build those intelligence platforms, and then we use the data that we have on that particular. That's our to-be roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years. And then lastly, CE spoke about the legacy app, our Fasset Atang app. We are encouraging you to go and download that app. Using an Apple phone, we've got an Apple store, Google or Android, we do have an app in both platforms. Do interact with the app, get used to it. The app is meant to ensure that we connect our talented learners with employers and also training providers. We want to streamline the path to meaningful career opportunities for all our learners. We're doing this because we want to respond to our learners who are always using the latest technology. We want to then also push information in a technology that is understandable and also is useful to the target audience, which is young people in this case. And this is what do you call it, a gateway for us, because any other automation that we do, we are going to be pushing information into this particular app. So be on the lookout on the app, but start installing it if you don't have it. Use it, and you can give us input as well in the app. If you have to improve certain things in the app, we are open to that, so that we are able to ensure that we are communicating with you using the platforms and the technologies and the channels that are responsive to what our stakeholders required. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, CIO, for sharing the innovative programs that you are currently undertaking to ensure alignment with the dynamic IT industry and for the benefit of our stakeholders, and most importantly, our learners, who will then be equipped with the skills needed for the future. As you have said, we make the future count. Interesting times that we live in, that is something greatly to watch, participate in, and to see materialize. So all the best to you and your colleagues. I'd like to bring back the CEO to provide an update on the QCTO qualification realignment. Please, CEO, if you may.
Okay. Thank you so much, Program Director. We appreciate your direction of this program. Stakeholders, I think it is important that we also give you the progress update on the QCTO qualification realignment process that is currently underway. I would also take more questions, on this process, but it's just the high-level progress update. So you will recall that, there were certain qualifications that expired. Well, the historical qualifications that had expired in June, 30th of June 2023. And they've been a process that we're embarking on, realigning, the occupational qualifications that is currently happening. And I know that you have had engagements with the FASSET team and the QCTO as well, around this. And it is important just emphasize that we have the program manager that is overseeing this process. If you need to know more about it, of where we are, I know it has been a bit of a long and painful process, and also internally, there are lessons that we are learning, because we are doing this for the first time, internally. This process was in the past has been delegated or been led by the professional bodies and the training providers in our sector. But to date, it is important just to let you know that we have issued more than 80,000 competent certificate for all its programs. So that is important to note. There are 2 new occupational qualifications that are under development, and we hope that we will finish the process. You remember that we have up until the 30th of June 2027, to have all things done and these new occupational, qualifications, being on, in place. I just want to share with you that of the latest, the debt collection supervisor occupational certificate has been approved by the QCTO. It's now pending the approval by SAQA. As well as we have about 14 qualifications that have not been done yet. So we are hard at work to, to get this through the line or over the line. We have appointed, or we are in the process actually of appointing the provider to assist us with the realignment, to occupational qualification, these 14. So for more information, you can just put it on the chart, your comments and your questions in this regard. And I want to also to thank the participant, the stakeholders in this process that have been part of this process for your support and your patience. And we do want to wrap up this process and make sure that all our qualifications are aligned in terms of the QCTO requirements. I thank you, Program Director. Back to you.
Thank you, CEO. That is an important update, and I do appreciate your insights. Now, as we move to the latter part of the program, we are now going to enter into the Q&A session. We have received numerous comments and questions, and I'd like to thank you first, before we move on to those questions, to our stakeholders for the questions and the engagements on the various platforms. We thank you. Now, I'd like to read the questions in batches so that we can give our colleagues and the panel members sufficient time for them to be able to respond and not to overwhelm them with the questions. I've got over 10 questions that I've noted. I'll do it in batches of 5. So in that way, it will allow the members and the respective program managers to then respond to your questions. All right? I think the team is ready, so I'd like to go with question 1. It says, good day, colleagues. Please note that questions, all right, okay, then it disappeared, all right. Okay, let's go. From Abo Sonti on Facebook. Thank you, and good morning to you too as well. It says, good morning, we are still facing the delay of stipends. I am under Ubuntu Institute, and we have not been paid for 2 months, making this the 3rd one. Please look into this. Ever since last year, we've been facing difficulties of delayed stipends. All right? The second one, from Rachel, says, good morning. I would like to know, when will we have the cost of ASA exams, as we need to code for learnership for clients? The third one, Alicia Davids, are laptops issued to all learners, learnership learners? Right. And we've got a comment, a question from Siripe. Where do we get the historical debt forms? All right. Then the first one, Tleliwe, says, good morning. I once claimed for LEG when my learner was entering the 3rd year learnership. But after that, I never got the discretionary grant due to depletion of funds. She completed her 3rd year in October 2024. Can I claim for her completion now that the window is open? So that's the first batch of 5. Colleagues, if you may kindly respond to our stakeholders. You may take the podium.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Greetings to the CEO and the Executive Management Team, and greetings to our stakeholders online. In relation to the question that was posed by Sonti, as FASSET, we are aware of the challenges that the Ubuntu Institute learners are facing. We are actively and proactively communicating with Ubuntu to resolve this current dilemma that the learners are facing. So as soon as we are done, we will then issue a mass communication to all the learners that are affected about this particular issue. In relation to the issue of the laptops, our laptops, we are offering them to our bursary beneficiaries, and we are also offering them to the interns who are under the NGOs or the NPOs, lead employers. In relation to the other three questions, I will hand over to my colleagues to come and answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning to the CEO and Executive Program Director. The ASA exam quotation, we are still waiting for a proper communication from QCTO because we have a few lists that we have just received now. So internally, I think we are going to have the memo try to actually cover those ones because QCTO hasn't given us the directives how to actually do that one. I think this one is covered. The historical debts, actually the window, the team just notified me now outside that the historical debt forms are actually on the system as we speak on the website. So I've just requested that maybe if they can put them under the new windows as well so that it can be visible on our website, they will actually get them. The LEG one, unfortunately, this one, we are not going to be able to approve it because it falls under the last year financial year. So if the learner was completing now in April, maybe the 1st of April, it was going to be easy for us because we are going to be able to fund the person. Maybe what we need to check is that last year this person did apply or not, so that we can, I'm not too sure that we can be able to backdate on that one because I didn't get the much story around it. I tried to get more details. If you can be able to just send an email, then we can look at the matter and be able to resolve it. I think we are done, Chair, for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Program Managers, Mr. Khoza and Mr. Maswanganyi, for your responses. And let me continue with the second batch of questions. We've got one from Lucille. Thank you very much, Lucille. It reads as follows. We submitted the LEG grant. Now, when can we expect feedback on this matter? Sesedi, good morning. The issue of age limit is also applicable to skills programs and learnerships. All right. Desiree, morning to you, Desiree. In regards to the LEG applications for completions, we are no longer receiving funding due to depletion of funds. What is the plan around this matter? Zuko, morning to you, Zuko. Support for training centers in the establishment phase. Can you advise how FASSET supports prospective training centers financially and what are the requirements thereof? The last question from Freddie. Good morning, Freddie, and thank you for your question. With Leadership Development Program, do you offer the general one that will also cater us as men, not women only? So there's a question for you. Thank you for that. Over to you, Mr. Khoza.
Okay, let me just continue for the LEG. The one that has applied now, we are busy with the evaluations. We should be giving a feedback in the next 2 weeks. Yes, for those that qualified, and also we should be able to communicate for those ones that may be rejected due to any elements that we are not finding. The age limit, I think we have age limit to all our programs. We don't exclude anything when it comes to the age limit. I'm not too sure. Maybe we still need to maybe write to the government because this question has been there for quite some time now. They are asking that is there a possibility that maybe we should write to the department to request that the age limit should be changed or be reviewed or anything. The 80 and 20%. So the youth should be 80% and then the adults. But still the adults are crying for the 20%. But I think it's something that we can maybe push it into the department to look at that because we fall under the same act. LEG application. Desiree, on this one, I'm just trying to think that is there any approach that we can try whenever we are out of funds, and also the plan around this, because in the last 2 years CFO was assisting us with the surplus monies, and unfortunately if we don't have any surplus monies, so we cannot do anything to entertain any rejection due to the deplete of funds. The support for the training centers, we haven't done this, and maybe it's something that we still need to engage maybe our professional bodies and then see, the well-established training providers to actually assist around this to getting the funding on those ones. The leadership development program, PM, do you want to respond to this one?
Good morning. Before I respond to the question around the leadership program, I just want to give a background in terms of how we basically FASSET take a decision on how to implement certain programs. You will remember that when the CEO started in terms of the presentation, she did highlight the strategic priorities. She did also touch on the sector skills plan. So basically, the programs that you see on our strategic documents, which will be your strategic plan and the annual performance plan that are currently uploaded on our website, basically are in response to the sector skills plan. So those particular programs that have been incorporated, like I said, is in response to the outcomes of the research that would have been conducted. Now, going back into the issue of the training centers again, whatever we implement, it needs to be on our annual performance plan, which also incorporates the budget for that particular financial year. And as a result, we cannot necessarily entertain anything outside that particular document, which is our strategic plan. And unfortunately, at this point, there isn't anything that we will then look into, except for the programs that are indicated on the APP in line with the budget. What the CFO has also touched on is the reflection of our current status of our financials. And you would have noted that when you look at our financial status in the previous financial year, including the current financial year, we don't have any surpluses that we used to have previously. And those surpluses previously, they used to also assist us to look into any other program that will be of national priority over and above the programs that would have been highlighted on our strategic documents. I hope that provides some clarity in relation to why certain programs would have been entertained previously versus now why we are saying that unfortunately we'll not be able to look into that. Just going back to the leadership development program, again, like I indicated, it's more on to say, what are the research outcomes telling us? And the current status is still saying that there's a huge gap at a management level between male versus females. So as a result, as long as that particular gap is still significant, we'll still continue looking into the female leadership program rather than the general one. Apologies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, program managers, Mr. Koza and Matibe. No offense taken. Actually, we are in support. We are rooting for you. You are our ally. Definitely. We must make it possible. Okay. Thank you, stakeholders, for your question. I'll now go into the last batch of the 5 questions, of the set of questions that we have. This one, I think there's a follow-up on top of that. So I'll try to be slow so that we can capture the question from Ntsiye. Thank you, Ntsiye, for your question. Thank you very much. The question reads as follows. How many co-ops have you assisted in the previous financial year? In which provinces did you assist? Total amount spent for co-ops? Is FASSET aware that 2025 is the International Year of Co-ops? The second part to Ntsia's question, which CET programs did you engage in 2024? How many beneficiaries under the CET colleges? Which provinces were covered? Total amount spent for CET colleges. Now the third part, rural development projects, which provinces were engaged? Total spend on those provinces. Let me just pause here so that you're good. You've captured that, colleagues. Thank you. Now we've got another question from Mpo. Good morning, Mpo. Is there a skills program on fraud detection? Then we've got a question from Freddie. Good morning, Freddie, and thank you for your question. Do you offer funding or bursaries for NQF Level 9 Masters? As during the presentation, I only saw up to NQF Level 8. And there's a follow-up on Freddie's question. Do you offer funding or bursaries to learners who are employed but not the FASSET sector? Another question. Tulisile, thank you very much and good morning to yourselves. It reads as follows. Good morning, colleagues. Is there a skills program for cybersecurity? Then another question from Mpo. In January, we wanted to apply for bursaries for financial management. After receiving admission at Regent, we were told that FASSET does not fund private sector. Perhaps Mpo requires clarity on that. Then another question from Nsia. Thank you for your engagement, Nsia. We do appreciate it, and for your engaging questions as well. With regards to accreditation process, how many cooperatives have you assisted to be accredited as SDP within FASSET? I'd like to pause here before, I think I just saw another question pop in, but let me just keep it to the 5. All right, colleagues, you may take the podium to respond to our stakeholders. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and thanks to our stakeholders for engaging us. I will be starting with the question from Ntsiye in relation to, I'll start from number 2, number 3, and then go back to number 1. The CET programs that we engaged in the previous financial year, we actually engaged the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, and Limpopo. The program, the specific program that we did was the fundamentals on IET, which then gave our beneficiaries or our learners the basic skills on how to navigate through financial management and other basic courses. The total amount spent on all the 3 provinces was an upward of 3 million for the previous financial year. In terms of the rural development projects, FASSET is likely to be all over the Republic of South Africa. If you were to go to Limpopo, to a village called Zengizengi, or to Skukuna region, you will find FASSET. If you go to Mhlawalingana, Mtuba, FASSET is there. You go to the Eastern Cape, FASSET is there. So the long and the short and long of it is that FASSET has been engaging in the rural development through various interventions, ranging from internships, supporting learners on bursaries, and also supporting both employed and unemployed learners. And then in terms of the cooperatives, we do have a program for cooperatives. It's listed as indicator 3.11 on our APP. The total number of learners that were supported on that particular program is an upward of 2,500. And then the other question in terms of the skills program for the fraud detection, we don't have a specific program for unemployed learners. However, this is one of the programs that can be clearly indicated under our digital skills program. Is something that we can look into in the near future. But however, for the employed learners under the skills program, we are able to support them. So because it's a Women's Month, let me then give over to Mama Roti to come and answer the master's and PhD related questions. Thank you very much, Program Director.
All right. Good morning once again. In relation to our bursary, so I am just going to answer Mr. Freddy as well as Mpho in one response. So in terms of our bursaries, we do fund both employed and unemployed learners. And we start from a level of undergrad until doctorate level. And these particular interventions that we look into needs to be aligned to our scarce and critical skills within the sector. And then for those that are, for the employed one is specifically for individuals that are employed within the FASSET sector. As a result, any individual that falls outside the FASSET sector will not necessarily be supported through FASSET grants. Then in relation to the issue of the private versus public, I know it's something that has been coming out most of the time. And unfortunately, because of the limitation in terms of our budget, we have actually limited the funding to only public higher learning institutions. This will be your TVET colleges in the public sector as well as your universities. At this point, unfortunately, we are not able to support learners that are studying through our private service providers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PM. The last one is regards to accreditation process. Currently, we are doing a realignment and re-registration of qualifications. And if you are interested as a small company or a cooperative, you can write to the QCTO. They will give you the form that we are going to give it to us as FASSET so that they can capture the details and everything, and then we'll assist from the entire process of accreditation until you are able to be an accredited SDP within the finance and accounting sector. There is this question of assisting training centers. My answer was no. We don't have any assistant to any training centers as far as the training centers is concerned. But of course, as Mama Roti has explained, that the only funding that is available for us is those that are within the annual performance plan, only those ones. So the training centers doesn't form part of any of the APP target. So we don't have any funding. I'm repeating again, we don't have any funding regarding the training centers. Thank you.
Thank you, program managers, for your feedback to our stakeholders in relation to the questions that they've posted. I have received 2 more questions. I think it's a matter of clarity from Zuko. He says there's no answer to the question support for training centers. I think you've just mentioned it now, Mr. Koza. And the last question that I have is from Hleliwe. Good morning, Hleliwe. It reads as follows. It's quite lengthy, so I'll try to pace myself on that one. Just a follow-up on my question in connection with the depletion of funds on discretionary grants. We were told not to apply because the window was closed due to depletion of funds. And I got an email from FASSET and it was sent to everybody. I then phoned to follow up as to when can we apply again, but I was told that the window is still closed and we will be informed when the discretionary grant window will open. But now I'm hearing that you are saying you look at the application for last year. Unfortunately, Hleliwe is stating that she is so confused. Colleagues, can you clarify Hleliwe and possibly other stakeholders who may be confused on this matter? Over to you. Thanks.
I'm supposed it's the LEG one because the previous question was talking about the 3-year LEG program. So we said that the person finished last year, which is October 2024. So that means the person doesn't qualify for this year application because it falls under a previous financial year. So my suggestion to say that if the person was then finishing this year, 1st of April 2025, we were going to consider that looking at this financial year and the window that is open. That was the clarity that I was providing in that question. The second question, Program Director. Yes, we do have a skills program for cybersecurity, sir. Sorry, we have skipped your question. Yes, we do have a skills program in a cybersecurity. If you can check with the MICT accredited programs on skills program, you will find it there as a skills program. So I hope. But if the question of the LG is not clear, they are free to just send me an email, kulegani.khoza@fasset, and then we can discuss it offline so that we can find the clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khoza, for the feedback and the clarity. And I really do appreciate the feedback that you have provided to our stakeholders. I don't see any more questions on my side, but should we get any more questions, I'm sure the program managers will then respond accordingly on the different platforms that we have available. I'd like to thank you, the stakeholders, for your engagements and your thoughtful questions that have really needed more information. And I'm sure it is not just for yourself, the one who posted the question, but for everyone on this platform. Thank you again, PMs, for the feedback, and to our stakeholders for your attendance and participation in the Fasset CEO Roadshow 2025. And thank you to the panel members for your presentations, guidance, and great insights you have provided. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the Fasset leadership for allowing me to facilitate this program. Greatly appreciated. To the comms and technical team behind the scenes, whom you don't see, who made this possible, thank you. Let us make the future count. Now is the time for me to hand over to our CSE, Ms. Nokulunga Mtombeni, to give us the closing remarks. I thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. Such gatherings reminds me of Henry Ford's words, who once said, open quote, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is success," close quote. Ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed stakeholders, I greet you all. As we wrap up today's roadshow session, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to each of you for joining us today. This roadshow has been about more than presenting our strategy as Fasset, but it has been about building a shared understanding of where we are headed, why it matters, and how we can achieve it together. There may be challenges, but capitalizing on opportunities with collaboration, transparency, and trust, we are confident in our ability to succeed. Your questions and feedback have not only enriched today's session, but will also play a key role in shaping our next steps. We also recognize that strong partnerships are at the heart of a sustainable success. And it is also important to note that your engagement today reaffirms our ability as Fasset, that our belief as Fasset that our goals are most effective when we work together, and it will be more even effective for us to attain them collaboratively. So our valued stakeholders, you are encouraged to continue showcasing your commitment to this great task through attendance of Fasset Stakeholder Relations event. And also, it is also important for us to ensure that we work together in this journey. But to you also, employers and SDFs,
to ensure that you update your contact details in the system to ensure seamless communication. As we move forward, we remain committed to transparency and delivering on the commitments we've set out. The journey ahead is indeed ambitious, but with your support and partnership, it is also exciting and full of promise. Thank you once again for your time, your trust, and your belief in our shared vision. We look forward to walking this path together and turning plans into impactful outcomes. Happy Women's Month to all beautiful women out there, and have a great day further. I thank you.